Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Was Trained by Anko, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like and subscribe. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start. Chapter 7. Kakashi was reading his little orange book, awaiting his students. He had cut Naruto down and told him to meet him on the roof. He didn't have to wait too long as the door opened to reveal them. They all took a seat in front of him and waited for whatever to begin. He closed his book and faced his team. Well then, how about we get to know each other? Kakashi said. What do you mean, sensei? Sakura asked. This got her a look from Naruto. Why don't you tell me your likes, dislikes, goals for the future, stuff like that? Kakashi said. How about you introduce yourself first? Naruto said rudely. You're the unknown here. How do we know that you're who you say you are? That is a very good point. Let's see, my name is Hatake Kakashi. My likes are none of your business. I have a lot of hobbies and dislike, my goals, I don't think that I'll tell you. Kakashi said. Sakura and Sasuke looked at him for the weird introduction. Naruto was the only vocal one. What kind of half-assed introduction was that? Naruto exclaimed. Stop shouting Barker, idiot, Sakura shouted. She turned to Kakashi. I'm sorry, sensei. He doesn't have any manners. Naruto scoffed and returned his attention to Kakashi. Kakashi gave them an eye smile. That's quite all right. Since you like to talk, Blondie, why don't you go first? Kakashi asked. The name is Uzumaki Naruto. My likes include ramen, my friends and my one-isan. My dislikes are shallow fangirls, emo pricks and people who can't tell the difference between a scroll and what's in it. My hobbies are pranks and a bit of gardening. My dream is to be Hokage. Naruto introduced. Nice intro. Kakashi said. That was pretty vague. I know that he's pretty close to Anko, so that must be his one-isan. He's much different than before. Okay, let's hear what you have to say, Pinky. My name is Haruno Sakura. My likes include, Sakura giggled while looking at Sasuke. My hobbies are, she giggled some more. My dream is, she squealed in delight. Naruto was gagging and holding his throat. Sakura glared at him. My dislikes are Naruto Barker and Ino Buta. Pig, the feeling is mutual. Naruto said. Sakura looked ready to pound him. That's great. A fangirl. Kakashi thought sarcastically. Anyway, let's hear from our resident brooder. Naruto snorted at that. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I have few likes and I have many dislikes. My dream, no, my ambition is to revive my clan and to kill a certain man. Sasuke said coldly. That's so cool, Sakura gushed mentally. He seriously needs a hobby. Naruto thought. As I thought. Kakashi thought. Well, you are an interesting group. I only hope that you pass my exam tomorrow. Kakashi said. What are you talking about? Asked Sakura. Well, the truth is that you aren't Genin yet. Kakashi said. The three sat up in surprise. What do you mean we aren't Genin? We passed the Genin exam, Naruto exclaimed. Actually, the test you took is just to see if you have what it takes to be Genin. The real test is given by the Jonin, who are your teachers. Trust me, this test will be much harder than what the academy gives you. Just come with your equipment at training ground 11 at 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I suggest you don't eat unless you want to throw up. Kakashi said before he vanished. After a few moments, Sasuke stood and left the roof. Sakura followed him as usual. Naruto just sighed and left after a while by walking down the side of the building. Naruto arrived at the training ground and saw his two teammates. Sasuke was brooding like always while Sakura was just looking at him with stars in her eyes. Naruto just ignored him and made his way over to the post. Naruto pulled out a sandwich and began to eat. After a while, Naruto noticed that he was being stared at by Sakura. She had a sour look on her face. What? Naruto asked. Kakashi-sensei said not to eat anything. Sakura said. So, he isn't our sensei yet and I don't really like his attitude. Besides, what good shinobi goes into something on an empty stomach? Naruto asked. It doesn't matter. Sensei said not to eat and you should just listen to what he says. Sakura argued. Well, go on and be a little good student. I'll just sit here and eat. Naruto said. Sakura huffed and made her way back over to Sasuke. After another 2 hours, all three kids were now getting annoyed. This was starting to become an annoying habit of their future sensei. At around 8, Kakashi made his appearance. Hello, my cute Genin. How are? He was cut off when he dodged and caught a kunai. He looked to see and angry Naruto glaring at him. Now, that wasn't nice. He said. Naruto just glared at him. Kakashi smiled it off and made his way over to his team. He noticed that Sakura and Sasuke looked hungry but Naruto looked like he was just pissed. Well, shall we get started? He pulled out an alarm clock and 2 bells. Funny how you have an alarm clock and you can't be on time. Naruto muttered. Only the weak bark the loudest and aren't really ready for this life. Kakashi countered. I might be loud but I don't need a book to get myself off just because no real woman would go out with me. Naruto returned. Ouch. Kakashi said. That comment was uncalled for. Anyway, the clock is set for noon. In that time, you must get one of these bells from me. The 2 who get the bells will become Genin while the 3rd is sent back to the academy. Kakashi explained. I must get one of those bells. Sasuke thought with determination. This is a proof of love. I cannot fail here, Sakura said. Something doesn't sound right here. I might be getting as paranoid as Anko One-san but something doesn't feel right. Naruto said. Now, if you want one of the bells you're going to come at me with the intent to kill. Kakashi said. But sensei, won't we hurt you? Sakura said. Really, that's your question? Naruto asked mockingly. He's a jonin, he said while pointing at Kakashi. We are Genin. If you're going to ask any intelligent questions, think about it first. Naruto shook his head and muttered, Top Kunoichi, my ass. Sakura looked ready to blow a gasket so Kakashi decided to cut in. I wouldn't worry if I was you, Sakura. You all won't even touch me. Kakashi said. After that, he saw that everyone was ready to continue. Okay then, let us begin. With that, the 3 kids went to hide. Kakashi gave them a while to hide. He looked into the forest and attempted to find them. Sakura needs to work on her hiding spot a little better. Sasuke found a good spot, giving him a chance to attack. Now, where is Naruto? I know that he is pretty stealthy. Hey, Cyclops. A voice called out. I could be wrong. Kakashi faced his blonde student. Compared to the others, you're a little weird. You're one to talk. Anyway, let's get this started. Naruto said with confidence. Kakashi nodded and reached into his pouch. Naruto quickly launched several shuriken at the man who was forced to dodge. Naruto rocketed toward Kakashi and threw another barrage of shuriken. Kakashi threw a few shuriken of his own to deflect Naruto's shuriken. Naruto then engaged Kakashi in a taijutsu battle. Kakashi dodged and blocked Naruto's attacks but was impressed with him. He got behind Naruto who was pushed off balance. First lesson, taijutsu. You shouldn't allow anyone to get behind you, Naruto. Kakashi said. Naruto turned to see that Kakashi had his hands in the Tora seal. Naruto, get out of there. He's going to destroy you, shouted Sakura's voice. Konohagakure Hiden Taijutsu Ogi, Sennen Goroshi, Konohagakure Hidden Secret Taijutsu Technique, 1000 Years of Death, Kakashi shouted and poked both fingers into Naruto's butt. The attack sent the Naruto flying in the air, holding his butt. Halfway up in the air, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. That surprised Kakashi a little. A cage bunshin. He turned when he heard the sound of flying metal. Kakashi moved out of the way as a rain of shuriken came at him. Suddenly an army of Naruto came out of the forest, armed with kunai. He heard the battle cries and saw the anger in their eyes. Kakashi readied himself but had to dodge as another Naruto popped out of the ground, swiping at his feet. He caught the wrist of another Naruto and threw him away. The clones converged on him. Sasuke watched with shock and confusion. What the hell was that technique that Naruto had just used? That wasn't a normal Bunchen clone, as they were real. He narrowed his eyes and wondered how the Dobe knew such a technique. It was giving Kakashi some trouble as it looked like the clones were just as trained as Naruto was. Sasuke was not the only one who was impressed, as Sakura couldn't believe what the blonde Barker had done. Just by looking at the technique, she could tell that it took a lot of chakra to pull off. Both suddenly caught movement and saw that Naruto was moving at a high rate of speed to outflank Kakashi. He skid to a stop and threw 2 kunai at Kakashi. Kakashi saw the 2 kunai and used a clone as a shield. The other kunai he did not pay attention to because it was off the mark. That was until it cut the string to one of the bells. A hand popped out of the ground and grasped the bell. The hand quickly sank back into the ground. Kakashi couldn't believe that he had just gotten played. He quickly dispelled the remaining clones and slammed his hand on the ground. A small rumble later and Naruto came flying out of the ground. Kakashi threw 2 shuriken that pinned the blonde to a tree. Kakashi watched as Naruto struggled to free himself and released a sigh of relief. He did not expect this from Naruto. Yes, he read the file. Yes, he read the reports. Still, this was not what he expected from the little guy. Maybe he should speak with Anko just to get a look into his true abilities. He walked up to him and took the bell from Naruto. "Hey, I won that fair and square," Naruto said. "True, but I never said that I wouldn't try to get the bells back. I'm impressed with what you did. You're probably the first to ever hold a bell, at least in this generation." Kakashi said. "Okay, what's the deal with this test?" Naruto asked. "What are you talking about?" Kakashi asked back. "All this doesn't make any sense. You say that only 2 people get to be Genin, so why did they split us into groups of 3? You're also a Jonin. Getting those bells would be impossible. So what the deal behind this exam?" Naruto said. Kakashi was very impressed with Naruto. "Those are some good points, Naruto. How about I give a little question? You're cool with Anko, right?" Naruto nodded. "Tell me this, she pretty good, but has she ever done a mission by herself?" he asked. Naruto was confused by this question. He knew that Anko was apprenticed to some guy named Orochimaru. Still, he had met a couple of people that Anko worked with and went on missions with. He needed to think hard about this question, so he needed to get out of this. "I don't know what your game is, but I'm going to figure it out. Until next time," Naruto said and dispelled himself. Kakashi was surprised, but not so surprised that he couldn't use the Kawarimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique, when Sasuke attacked. He sat on a branch and searched for Naruto. He couldn't find him, which wasn't too much of an issue as Naruto had been hiding from Jonin and Anbu for years. He still couldn't believe that Naruto was this good. He knew the technique that Naruto used and used it perfectly. He wondered what else the boy had in store for this test. Kakashi decided to test the other 2 and see what they could do. Chapter 8. Naruto sat on a branch in thought. He was surrounded by clones as he did not want Kakashi to get the jump on him. He was thinking about the question that Kakashi told him about. What did he mean by what he said? Anko One-Isan doesn't go on missions alone, yeah, but what does that have to do with this test? Naruto asked himself. Kakashi wanted him to concentrate on his One-Isan for a reason. She doesn't go alone, she's always with a team. Team, could that be what he wants me to realize? He was cut off when he heard Sakura scream. While he didn't like the girl anymore, he wasn't about to leave her hanging. He shot off with his clones to check on her. Sasuke was glaring at Kakashi from his position. After he heard Sakura's scream, he confronted Kakashi. He told the Jonin that he was not like his 2 teammates, but Kakashi made it a point to tell him that Naruto was the only one to get a bell. This pissed Sasuke off and he attacked Kakashi. During the small fight, he was able to touch one of the bells. Seeing that his traps and taijutsu wasn't working, he decided to use ninjutsu. He did the hand seals for his clan's most used jutsu, Katen, Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique. He saw that this surprised the Jonin and he was not able to dodge the flames. When the technique died down, Sasuke only saw scorched earth. He quickly looked around, wondering where Kakashi was going to attack from. He got his answer when he was dragged underground. His whole body was underground with the exception of his head. He was still able to glare at Kakashi, who was kneeling and smiling at him. Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Double Suicide Decapitation Technique, a perfect counter to your own jutsu. I have to say that you are right about something. You are much different than you teammates. Kakashi said with amusement. He suddenly moved away from Sasuke and dodged several shuriken. 3 Naruto appeared and faced him. Well, ready for another go, Naruto? Something like that. Naruto said. He patted the back of his 2 clones and sent him off. They charged at Kakashi, who readied himself. He watched as Naruto did some hand seals and took a deep breath. Katen, Kasumi Enbu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Mist Blaze Dance Technique, Naruto shouted and blew out a faint white mist. Kakashi thought that it was a great strategy until he smelled the mist. When he noticed that the regular Naruto hightailed it out of the area with Sasuke, he knew that something was wrong. That's when it happened. Anko was eating some dango, wondering how Naruto was doing with his test. She was a little concerned since she knew that Kakashi never passed a single team. She knew that he would be bummed if he had to go back to the academy. That's when she heard an explosion. She stood and looked to see some black smoke coming from one of the training grounds. She realized that was where Kakashi usually held his meetings. Thinking a bit more, she let out a small chuckle. That brat, I only suggested that he use his clones like that. Well, I can't really be blamed for it. It is a good idea after all. Anko said to herself and made her way back to her dango. Kakashi popped out of the ground and looked around at the damage that was caused by Naruto's little stunt. He knew that the Kage Bunshin, Shadow Clone, was mostly used for spying because of its special condition. However, this was one extreme way to use them. He knew that he said to come at him with the intent to kill, but using clones for a suicide bombing was going a bit far. Something told him that this was Anko's fault. Kakashi sighed and decided to put out any flames before going after the genin again. Naruto was with Sasuke and Sakura, surrounded by traps. He pinched the bridge of his nose as the two was working his last nerve. Look, I don't know how many times I have to say this. This isn't about the bells. There is a whole other meaning behind this test. Naruto said. I don't have time to waste with your theories, Dobi. It's almost noon and I have to get a bell. Sasuke spat. Oh my god, can you for once just listen to someone besides your own ego? I'm telling you that there is something wrong with this test, Naruto exclaimed. Hey, don't speak to Sasuke that way, Sakura said, defending her crush. Look, just think for a minute. Alone, we can't beat him. He's a jonin for a reason. To get the bells, we might have to work together. Naruto said calmly. I don't need either of your help. I touched the bells and next time I'll get them. Sasuke said. Yeah, besides, why would we team up with you? Once Sasuke and I get the bells, you'll go back to the academy and they'll put you with another bunch of losers for a team. Sakura crowed. Naruto was about to explode when something stopped him. The word team just kept going through his head. That's when he remembered something. Konoha based its strength by working with each other. That meant that this test wasn't about the bells, it was about teamwork. That's it. Hey, I know what the real purpose of this test is, Naruto exclaimed. However, the alarm went off, signaling the end of the test. Kakashi appeared before the genin. Is that so, Naruto? Maybe you can explain it over there. Kakashi said. Kakashi was standing in front of everyone. He saw as Sakura struggled to free herself from the post. Sasuke was glaring at Naruto and Naruto just ignored everyone. He then faced Naruto. So Naruto, care to tell me what the true purpose of this test was? Kakashi asked. The word team just kept running around in my head. That's when I realized that Konoha's strength is based on our shinobi working together with each other. The bells were a mislead. You wanted to see how we did as a team. So, the way to pass the true exam is to show our teamwork. Naruto answered. After a few seconds, Kakashi clapped his hands. Very good, I'm glad that you caught that, Naruto. It proves that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Seeing that you got the point of the test, I will see what I can do to get you on a current team. To send you back to the academy would be a waste of talent. Kakashi said. What about us, sensei? Sakura asked. Oh, you two need not worry. I'm going to the Hokage and get you two removed from the shinobi forces," Kakashi stated in a matter-of-fact way. Sakura was shocked at that and Sasuke was angry. He charged at Kakashi but quickly found himself on the ground with Kakashi's foot on his head, his arm twisted in a painful lock. "Sasuke-kun," Sakura screamed. "That's exactly why you and Sasuke do not deserve to be shinobi. Sakura, you were so concerned with Sasuke that you totally ignored Naruto. Even after he saved you and was attempting to get your help in figuring out the purpose of the test, you scorn him. Weren't you the top kunoichi and smartest girl in the academy?" Kakashi asked harshly. Sakura bowed her head in shame. He then faced Sasuke. "You thought that they couldn't help you, that they would just get in your way. Still, you were saved by Naruto and taken to safety. He offered you help but you also scorned, arrogantly thinking that you were a match for me." Sasuke let out a breath of annoyance. Kakashi got off him and let him go. Sasuke made his way back to lick his wounds. "You see this stone here?" Kakashi said and pointed to a stone. They could see that there were some names on the stone. Those names are the names of Konoha's heroes. They get on this stone for their service to the village, may their souls rest in peace. That surprised all of them. Remember this, those who disobeys the rules are trash but those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash. He said to them. He waited a while to allow it to sink in. "Okay, because of Naruto, I'm going to give you another chance. You two can eat the lunch I brought but Sakura get none of it. I'll be back in a moment," he said and left. The two boys dug into the lunches and began to eat. Naruto stopped eating and looked around to see if Kakashi was around. Seeing no trace of him, he walked up to Sakura and freed her. Sakura looked at him like he was crazy. "What are you doing?" Sakura exclaimed. "Would you keep your damn voice down?" Naruto hissed. He then shoved his lunch forward. "Here, eat this and get your strength back." "But Kakashi-sensei said not to eat." Sakura said. "But Kakashi-sensei said not to eat. For once, will you just listen? We need you to help us get the bells and you can't help us if you're hungry. So eat," Naruto said. Sasuke followed Naruto's lead and shoved his half-eaten lunch in front of Sakura. "The Dobi is right. You can't help us if you're so weak," Sasuke said. Hearing it from him, Sakura nodded and began to eat. That's when the skies darkened and lightning streaked from the sky. Kakashi appeared and he was not happy with what he saw. "What did I say? How dare you disobey my orders?" Kakashi demanded loudly. They were all scared but Naruto manned up and stepped forward. "Screw you, Kakashi. I wasn't about to allow my teammate to starve. You don't like it, then you know where you can put it," Naruto said bravely. I stand by Naruto. We won't follow your ridiculous rules anymore," Sakura stated. "We are a team and we will stand as a team," Sasuke said. "Is that so? Well then you all pass," Kakashi said with an eye smile. His genin looked at him before falling down on their faces. Kakashi just kept smiling. The Jonin were waiting for Kakashi to arrive like always. When he finally arrived, everyone gave him a stern glare. He just rubbed the back of his head. "Sorry I'm late but," Kakashi began. "Spare us your lies, Kakashi," Hiruzen said. Kakashi pouted but he shook it off quickly. "So, have you finally passed a team? I'm happy to say that Team 7 has passed," Kakashi said. This surprised everyone in the room. "It's about time, Kakashi. I thought you would never pass a team," said Asuma. "Well, they surprised a lot, especially Naruto," Kakashi said. "Is that so? Would you care to explain?" Hiruzen asked. "Well, Sakura is a typical fangirl. She doesn't care much about training and being on the same team as the object of her affection might be a problem. However, she's shown great resolve and will improve over time. Sasuke is indeed skilled and put me on the ropes for a while but he is arrogant and thinks that his teammates are beneath him. His superiority complex might be a problem but I'm not too worried about it. Naruto is not what I expected. He's skilled and smart. It was he who figured out the test I gave them. Even though he does not respect his teammates or me, he is willing to put it aside to work with the team. I do worry that Anko may have put some destructive ideas in his head but he is a team player," Kakashi reported. "So that explosion was him, wasn't it?" Kurenai asked. Kakashi nodded at her and she just chuckled. I told Anko not to put the idea in his head. Anyway, I wish you all luck with your teams. You are all dismissed. Hiruzen said. Naruto entered his apartment after having a celebratory ramen feast at Ichiraku's. He was just happy that he was finally a genin. As he made his way to his room for some sleep, he stopped and looked around his place. Something was off, he could feel it. He was suddenly tackled from behind by someone. They tumbled around for a while before Naruto managed to pin his assailant. He pulled out a kunai and put it in front of their face. He had a small smirk. "Ha, that's my win." Naruto cheered. That was before the assailant turned into a cushion. "Son of a bitch," he exclaimed and was suddenly put in a sleeper hold. He felt the light dim before tapping out. The person released him and Naruto turned to glance at the person, who turned out to be Anko. "Whose win was it?" Anko said. "Shouldn't you be stalking Iruka-sensei around this time?" Naruto asked irritably. "I'm not stalking him. I am merely taking an interest," Anko said. "How is breaking into his apartment while he slept to get a piece of his hair an interest?" Naruto asked. "Anyway, I heard you passed your exam. Congratulations are in order," Anko said. "Thanks, but I just wish that it wasn't with the team and his fangirl." Naruto said. "Stop your bitchin' and just deal with it. You'll need them later on, I guess. I can't wait to do missions though," Naruto said with excitement. "Just don't be too disappointed in the missions. They might be boring but they serve a purpose," Anko said. "What are you talking about? How can taking out bandits, saving daimyo's daughters and protecting the ninja way, be in any way boring?" Naruto asked with confusion. Anko looked at Naruto before laughing loudly. She was on the ground holding her sides. Naruto didn't have a good feeling about this. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe, and see you guys later.